What's up, sons? It's Blind Ride with Son of a Tech once again, and welcome back to yet another Talking Head video. I would love to scream and yell it, but I've been a little under the weather with the C word lately, and we can talk about that on a different platform if you would like. However, I'm starting to feel a little bit better, so I want to get back into at least bringing you guys the news. Of course, I'm hoping to get a negative test and be feeling much better here this week so I can get out and move the farm from the temporary location to the permanent location. And of course, we have to talk about the big news for the day, which is U.S. Treasury Secretary wants to tax unrealized crypto gains. We're going to get into it right after a word from our sponsor. Today's video is brought to you in partnership with GamerSupps. GamerSupps provides a healthy alternative to sugary energy drinks with delicious flavors like Misfits Melon or my favorite Blue Raz. I use the GamerSupps as an alternative to support my active lifestyle outside of content creation. Caffeine-free options are great for late-night gaming after the kids have gone to bed. And my favorite part about GamerSupps is that they accept cryptocurrency, and for a limited time, when you purchase a tub with cryptocurrency, you will receive a Bitcoin shaker. Follow the affiliate link in the description, and don't forget to use code SOAT at checkout. Welcome back. So the original article, as far as I know it, comes from beincrypto.com, which is actually quite interesting because it seems to be published or referenced by Yahoo and other news outlets as being one of the first, which is interesting because the State of the Union CNN post that it was originally from came out on the 24th, which was yesterday. Most of the articles that are discussing it came out today, but let's go ahead and hop in and talk about the article. Alrighty, so here we have it up right now, and basically the article goes on to state that the United States Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has announced the proposal of a new tax that could hit unrealized capital gains. Speaking on CNN's State of the Union on October 24th, Secretary Yellen stated that they were looking into new taxes that would hit the very wealthy. However, part of the proposals included a tax that could be applied to unrealized capital gains. This means that holders of cryptocurrency or stocks could be taxed on increases before they even have sold the assets. It could also mean that appreciation in property prices could also be taxed even before the property has been sold. So this is pretty alarming stuff. Obviously, if you're in crypto right now, you should be aware in the United States that how it functions is whenever you purchase a cryptocurrency, you hold that cryptocurrency, and as it goes up in value, you don't actually owe anything until you sell it. And then once you sell it for a traditional fiat currency, more than likely US dollar, then you have to basically trigger a tax event and pay taxes on the increase. So from the time you purchased it to whatever it was when you sold it. This would change that, basically creating a yearly tax that would basically tax you on the gains of said asset on a yearly basis, basically, without you having to sell the asset or anything at all. This means that you can kind of get double dipped on as well, because you don't just have a single taxable event. If you are trying to have like some sort of long-term capital gains, you would basically be, paying multiple times on that capital gains, which means, funny enough, as opposed to previously how it would function, where you would want to hold the cryptocurrency or the asset longer so you would pay less in taxes. You would probably want to hold it for a shorter period of time to pay less in taxes, just depending on how it worked out. This is problematic in a ton of different ways, but one of the primary is depending on when the day of the capital gains would be accrued on, you could end up crashing different markets, right? So if the date was April 14th that you had to basically calculate your unrealized capital gains, then you would probably see a market crash on April 13th. And that's something that a lot of people have been talking about that for some reason just seems to go over everybody's heads in the government, which is wild because I don't think you would want this event to take place, especially in the traditional stock market. The article does go on, of course, and says what's under consideration, to clarify, is a proposal that Senator Wyden and the Senate Finance Committee have been looking at that would impose a tax on unrealized capital gains on liquid assets held by extremely wealthy individuals, billionaires, I wouldn't call that a wealth tax. She added that wealthy individuals often escape taxation until they are realized, and this would be one way to target their holdings. It wasn't clear whether the newly proposed tax would apply to all holders of liquid assets or just those over a set threshold. So this is actually pretty interesting because it's bouncing back and forth. It's saying, well, this is to tax billionaires. However, it's not a wealth tax. And that can be a little bit confusing. What are they trying to do? Well, they're trying to kind of play both sides of the ball here a little bit, obviously, as politicians traditionally do. However, the question is, like the article states, is will this affect you over a certain bracket of wealth or of assets, or will it affect everybody as a whole? Because they're making the stipulation that it's, not, or wouldn't call it a wealth tax, it does seem like they would probably lean towards just applying it to everybody as a whole, especially if under consideration is property or appreciation of value in property, which is the scarier one. However, of course, we do primarily talk about cryptocurrency on this channel. It is important to note that the number one way in which the middle class hands down wealth to the next generation is through property and not through other assets, unlike the wealthiest classes, which hand down, companies and trust funds and a whole bunch of other different things, right? So typically, if we're talking about targeting the middle class, you would target property. Hopefully that isn't going to be the case here, but that is on the table from my understanding. If we get into, of course, how this will affect cryptocurrency, well, once again, we will clarify you will be taxed on some sort of unrealized capital gains on some sort of yearly basis, of which we do not know at this point. Now, it is getting pushed through pretty quickly, and my understanding is we'll be hearing more about it, or it's supposed to hit Congress in a week, which is crazy fast. Not a lot of time for the public to respond, of course. And obviously, with everything else going on, they're probably trying to sweep it under the rug, along with the $600 thing that's going on with tracking $600 payments in and out of your bank account, which is obviously not something that really affects large, I guess, very wealthy individuals. It primarily affects, the middle class that are paying their utility bills and rent. It's quite hilarious as far as that one goes. Now, I did want to point out this article does go a little biased in the fact that on its next kind of highlighted space, it says the fact that Janet Yellen is even considering an unrealized capital gains tax perfectly illustrates the monstrous economic crisis we're in. They are willing to annihilate all investor sentiment in order to raise money to fund their reckless spending spree. So I'm usually not a fan of opinionated articles like this in journalism. Just personally, I think that we've discussed this before on the channel. However, I do tend to agree here, and I lean towards that. Now, that's why I'm also stating that this is an opinion, though, of my own. And basically the spending spree that they are referencing is going to be the Build Back Better bill by, of course, Joe Biden. And essentially the whole ploy there was that they would implement enough taxation that the bill would basically be free because it would pay for itself within 15 years. Of course, this would be part of that. They're going to try to get the funding for that bill through taxing unrealized gains. The problem is that, like I stated, the biggest issue I see happening here is if you set a specific date on the unrealized capital gains calculation, you're going to see huge crashes in the markets, especially right before that given time. This is kind of scary. This isn't good for the economy. This isn't really good for the stock markets or cryptocurrency in general as well. Now, for miners, it's even crazier, right? Because if you're a miner, typically, if you do decide to hold, you're holding for that long-term capital gains, because not only are you paying capital gains tax, you are also paying income tax. So if you aren't familiar with how it works in the US for mining cryptocurrency, you get taxed twice. You get taxed once on the day that you mine said cryptocurrency, and then you get taxed when you sell it. So even if you mined it and sold it within the same day, but the price went up, you still have the capital gains on the difference there. So miners are already getting taxed to basically oblivion at this point in the United States, and it would get even worse under this. Now, it could go up to, from my understanding, to 37% for that capital gains tax, which would be pretty incredibly high, and you would definitely see people getting rid of liquid assets, especially as it pertains to stock markets and so on, especially cryptocurrency as well. Because at this point, you're going to get double dipped on. You're going to get taxed every year. So holding something and waiting for it to go up in value isn't going to be advantageous to you because, well, if you keep holding it, you're just paying more and more and more and more on given, asset, which is pretty crazy. I can't believe this is a thing. I'm curious what you guys think in the comment section below. Let me know. I'm going to try to get better. I'm definitely already starting to sweat bullets just recording this. So, I'm going to go get some rest. Hopefully we'll be getting back to regularly scheduled videos. I'm hoping I'm going to go to sleep here and wake up ready to roll. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support of the channel. I definitely need it now more than ever. We went from taking a few days off to quit nicotine, or a week off to quit nicotine, to now having the C word and having to take a week off, maybe more. Hopefully trying to come up with anything I can. And my hair is all crazy. And I lost 15 pounds. So it's just nuts. I'll see you next Tuesday. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to see more. Also, you can check out this playlist for more content talking about cryptocurrency.